Over the course of my YouTube channel, I have designed my fair share of farms and I've recorded tutorials of them, whether that be a couple wither skeleton farms, a hostile mob farm, or literally any type of hostile mob farm of any type. I've always gotten many questions about why isn't my farm working? I followed a tutorial. What am I doing wrong? Why am I getting no drops instead of results like this? And I hope that this video can help you. I'm going to be going over 3 common reasons why your hostile mob farm probably isn't working, and I'll give you guys solutions to fix them. The first 2 are rather simple, and the third one is something you might not have thought of, and I hope to help you guys out so your mob farm can also be this efficient. And this isn't even that efficient, but this is still really satisfying to watch. Anyways, let's get right into it. Before we get into the first 2 reasons, it's important to understand how mob spawning works. So mobs can spawn anywhere from 24 blocks to 128 blocks away from the player, and that is the area occupying in between these 2 spheres. So mobs can't spawn in here based on this AFK player, thanks Mumbo, and then mobs can't spawn outside of this sphere. So this means your farm has to be outside of that 24 block sphere, which is definitely satisfied, and the farm, the entirety farm, so also where the mobs are dying, must be within the 128 block sphere. I apologize. So that means, yeah, clearly we can easily find the 2 most common reasons why your mob farm might not actually be working. So let's get into those specific reasons now that we understand how distancing works in terms of mob spawning. Alright, so the first reason your mob farm might not be working is the fact that you're standing too close to your farm. And this is very common with farms that you are AFKing below and trying to swipe them with your sword. Obviously a farm like this, standing too close, obviously looks rather dumb, so it's definitely easy to avoid. But as you can see, we have the 24 block sphere centered around where our good friend Mumbo is standing. And yeah, as we can see, there is actually, no mob spawning in the farm because the entire farm is within that 24 block sphere, so therefore mobs are unable to spawn. So if this is the case, and the way I'm making these spheres, by the way, guys, if you want to double check this yourself, is using the mini HUD mod, which I will link down below. But if this is the case, if you're standing really close to your farm, try backing up, which if we do that and we TP Mumbo, say, to here, so now that Mumbo is a little bit farther away from the farm, what we're actually going to see is that mobs should start spawning again. So we'll give it a second, and we should get a few spawns. Obviously, not all of them are spawning, and that's actually going to lead us to our next reason why the farm isn't working, but we'll get back to that in a little bit. But as you can see, mobs are spawning again, meaning that the farm would function. The reason why it's not as fast is for the third reason, so stay tuned. Hint, it's all the mobs spawning over there. Alright, so now let's talk about the next reason. You're standing too far away. Alright, so now Mumbo is standing about 10 blocks above where he was standing before when the farm was working flawlessly. And if we come down here, what we're going to see is like, yeah, mobs are spawning. That's fantastic. However, wait a second, they're falling through. And as they fall through, they're phasing through here. And they're instantaneously despawning, and we're not actually collecting any of their drops down below. So that means that Mumbo is unfortunately standing too high. If we move him down, obviously we already saw the farm working, but I'll demonstrate that one more time. But I think this brings up an important note that even if mobs are spawning, you gotta make sure that the entire farm, including the killing mechanism, is also within that 128 block range, because they despawn once they come outside. It's not just they can't spawn 128 blocks away, they also immediately despawn once they phase through that border. So make sure your entire farm is within that 128 block range of the player, and you should be good and you won't run into issues like this. I know it seems dumb, but I've actually made this mistake before, so it's definitely important to double check. And just to confirm, we put Mumbo back in the normal place, and as you can see, the mobs are dying normally and we're getting their drops because he's within that original 128 block range. And now let's go on to the third reason why your mob farm isn't working. We actually got a preview of this when he was standing over here and it was nighttime, so let's do that again. Alright, so Mumbo is back in this position and it's currently nighttime, and as you can see, the farm is working. However, we're just not getting that many spawns, if you guys can't tell. I mean, before it was tons upon tons of mobs are spawning. Now we're getting a couple each time, probably like 2-3% of the current or previous rates. So clearly something's up, and that's actually mob spawning elsewhere. So if we take a look, there are tons of mobs spawning. within the range. It's actually like a perfect circle centered around Mumbo over here. And that essentially means that these mobs are taking up the mob cap. So if you guys don't know, there's a mob cap on Minecraft, and essentially, once you hit a certain number of mobs, the game will stop spawning them. So that essentially means when you're spawning mobs elsewhere, that's taking up the mob cap, and therefore you have less spawning chances to get mobs within your actual mob farm. So this means that when you build a farm, you have to make sure that you spawn-proof everywhere in your 128 block radius. That's why we AFK up in the sky, so there's no spawning deals down here, no spawning spaces even available to begin with. But you got to make sure when you're building farms that you light up caves, you light up the surface when it's nighttime, and specifically when you're in the nether, you're slabbing and carpeting everywhere to prevent mobs from spawning. And that is the principal reason why mob farms break. When you build a wither skeleton farm correctly and you're not getting any drops, it's not because your world's broken probably, it's not because the farm is broken probably. It's simply because you didn't spawn proof, because even a small little pocket missing is going to totally kill the rates of the farm. So that is the third and final reason. You got to make sure that the area within that 128 block spawning radius is in fact mob proofed. And in the overworld, you can just use torches. In the nether, you might want to have to use carpets or slabs of some sort. Whatever you got to do. AFKing up in the sky also solves that issue, given the fact that, as you can see, there was no mob spawning before simply because there's very, very few blocks that were actually exposed down here, and we lit those up with torches. So, that is the third and final reason. Thank you, Mumbo, for your help. It's time for you to be retired. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick video on why your mob farm might not be working. To recap, the first reason was you're probably standing too close. The second reason was you're standing too far away. So essentially you need to make sure your farm is within 128 blocks of you and not closer than 24 blocks, essentially. And then also the third and final reason, and also definitely the most common, was that unfortunately other mobs are spawning somewhere else in the world, and that is killing the rates of your farm. And obviously, use the mini HUD mod, it's down below, very easy to install with Fabric, and that will definitely help you out a lot. In terms of creating those spawning spheres, if you want to see a tutorial on that, I'll definitely post one if I get enough comments about it, so leave a comment if you're interested in how a tutorial on how to use the mini HUD mod to create spawning spheres to help you design farms. But yeah guys, let me know if you have any questions. Good luck spawn proofing your farms. It is tedious, but it's definitely worth it to get the rates of a great farm. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you later. Easy out.